Jeff, I'm feeling down and I believe it's time for us to consider a separation. Despite Jeff's initial shock, he wasn't entirely unprepared for this conversation. Their marriage had spanned almost 2 decades, yet recently Darlene seemed increasingly involved with her conversations with Miranda, a friend she often turned to for marital advice. Having endured 3 divorces herself, Miranda had become a source of wisdom on the matter. Jeff, are you listening? I believe it's time for us to part ways. Yes, Dar, I'm listening. This is too critical to rush into. I've always strived to be a supportive and a committed spouse and a wonderful father. Our intimate life seemed fine, so I'm puzzled about where things went wrong. However, hearing you out, the idea that my presence could hinder your joy is heart-wrenching. Despite the pain, I support your choice for separation. However, I wonder, has this decision been a long time coming, or is it based on recent events? Darlene answered. It's been a slow build-up. I'm seeking some space, some time to explore new avenues and meet new people. According to the law, we're required to live apart for 90 days after initiating the divorce proceedings. Perhaps during this time I'll reconsider our marriage. It's possible we might not need to divorce after all. Jeff thought to himself that this approach was not uncommon in divorces he'd heard about. This separation period allows for seeing others without it being considered infidelity, but stopping the divorce process requires mutual consent. But one can proceed with the divorce independently. Jeff considered that Darlene might not be aware that he had equal rights in this matter. I assumed that initiating the divorce gave me the sole right to pause or proceed with it. Darlene hesitated. Jeff replied, that seems unequal, but to ensure fairness I'll file as well so we're on the same page. Is that? All right, well, sure, Darlene responded hesitantly. You're indicating you want a separation? I believed I was fulfilling my role well as your spouse and father to our children. I'm not seeking a divorce, but I won't stand in the way of your happiness. Honey, I never suggested you were inadequate. You've been a remarkable spouse and father. I'm simply longing for something new and different, to have experiences with other people. It might improve my mood. I just require some distance. Bend. A legal separation affords me that liberty. Darlene, your desire for more signifies my failings. He silently reflected before inquiring, have you chosen a lawyer and started the paperwork? Bypassing his comment on his perceived inadequacies, she answered, no, I haven't begun the paperwork. I plan to engage J.R. Lewis. He handled Miranda's legal separations. Thus, Darlene acknowledged Miranda's role in her quest for something more in their marriage. I'm thinking of asking my cousin Sally to represent me. Sally the bulldog, right, Dar? I know you don't like her much, but she's actually kind-hearted. Her fierce reputation stems from her professional demeanor. She fiercely defends her clients, irrespective of their gender. Funnily enough, after the last family gathering, perhaps slightly inebriated, Sally proposed to handle my divorce for free. Impressive, Jeff remarked. We should talk more. I propose you take the next fortnight to prepare for the divorce. This way we can begin our separation at the start of the upcoming month. Okay? I'm not quite sure why we need to prepare anything before ending the separation, Jeff explained. The purpose behind the separation is to experience a semblance of divorced life, to help us decide if we truly want to finalize it. It serves as a sort of trial period before the actual divorce, to prevent any surprises later on. Does that make sense, perhaps? I hadn't thought about it that way. Darlene's resolve was waning. Let's do this. Why don't we head into the kitchen, get a notepad, and start listing everything we need to sort out? I'll make some coffee. With those words, Jeff got up from the bed and proceeded to the kitchen, leaving Darlene to contemplate. When Darlene entered the kitchen, she found the coffee brewing, and Jeff engrossed in writing on a notepad. All right, Jeff continued, there's so much on our plate that it's hard to figure out where to start. I think we should tackle the issue of the children first. How about that, he asked. It's crucial we tell them about what's going on, making sure we're on the same page and trying to make them understand that our split is not their fault. Darlene's anxiety heightened. Their daughters were particularly delicate and could respond negatively to the distressing news. I don't understand why we have to reveal so much. Why not wait 3 months and possibly avoid explaining at all? However, dear, what will you say when they ask why their father isn't living here anymore? Why aren't you at home? We'll continue being their mother and father. I thought you would stay in the home during our separation, and or rather we could still leave the house occasionally without disrupting the children's routine. I'm skeptical this plan will work, Dar. First off, it means we need to coordinate our outings. It could upset one of us if the other wants to go out on a date, and it's inconvenient for the other. We might accuse each other of meddling in our dating lives. More importantly, how will you get a sense of what life after divorce looks like if we keep acting as we do now? Additionally, the children might guess or hear from others that we've been spotted with new individuals. It's imperative we tell not only our daughters but also all our family and friends to avoid any rumors of unfaithfulness. What worries me most is my concern that, despite our explanations, the children might still feel at fault. It's a difficult truth, but from what I've studied about child psychology, it's hard to prevent children from feeling at least somewhat responsible for their parents' split. We have to be clear in our communication and reinforce our love for them. They're wonderful kids and will probably adjust with time, though it might require some professional guidance. Heck, they could even benefit from having extra grandparents through your future partner and mine more gifts for birthdays and holidays. Of course, we'll have to carefully schedule where and when we celebrate birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. We find it challenging to coordinate that now with just one set of grandparents. Additionally, if I stay in the house, you would need to visit your new companion at his place or a fancy hotel. It wouldn't be right for either of us to have a new partner over while the other parent is present with the children. We also have to think about what it means for our budget to maintain two homes. Obviously, this will result in less disposable income, as we'll have the cost of my apartment's rent and utilities on top of our current expenses. You'll need to get used to managing and paying for all the things we currently share and that I take care of for the family. Typically, assets are divided equally, which means we'll need to close all our shared bank accounts, savings, credit cards, and then work out child support. Indeed, there's a lot to arrange before everything is in place. Darlene was left speechless, overwhelmed. Jeff added, "I'm looking for an apartment closer to work. This way, the girls will have a place to stay when they're with me during my custody days. The usual setup in divorces grants the non-custodial parent time with the children every weekend and every second major holiday, unless the custodial parent agrees to more frequent visits." Jeff, I thought you'd be dating much more actively. They have homework, sports, drama, and other engagements they're used to. You both seem to really enjoy your time together. Honey, I'll try to stay as involved in their lives as I can. However, you and your significant other might have to take over some of my duties. It's just the reality of the situation. Sending on weekday evenings might prove difficult, as they prefer staying home due to having school the next morning. Encountering a new acquaintance could mean she also has children, necessitating my help with their homework and extracurricular activities. Your assistance might be required for your new partner regarding her children. Furthermore, managing apparel and personal belongings across two locations becomes complicated. The challenge of arranging school transport is amplified if residing away from a school bus route, disrupting their usual schedule. It will not be easy for any involved. The situation is not progressing as Miranda had promised. Darlene was under the impression that mentioning divorce would make her husband more compliant, continuing his financial support and allowing her to pursue other relationships. Jeff, this is becoming too much for me. I need some sleep. Let's continue our conversation tomorrow. I'm going back to bed. Keep on with your walk. She was hopeful he would come back, planning to leverage closeness as a strategy to sway him, thus avoiding the responsibilities and financial splits. Apologies, love, but I must write down another idea before heading to bed. You know how I think getting things sorted before the first day is beneficial for us. Sleep well, my dear. Darlene struggled to sleep. She was anxious to talk about Jeff's unexpected response with Miranda, confident she would advise on what to do next. This thought eventually lulled her to sleep. Upon rising and beginning her day, she first realized Jeff's absence from their bed. Unbelievable, this idiot was up all night making a list for the divorce, she assumed. Yet Jeff was not in the kitchen, only a notepad was on the table. In the guest room, she found her husband sound asleep. Returning, she started her breakfast and prepared for the day, reviewing the notepad. It detailed responsibilities to divide like mortgage, home insurance, utilities, television service, mobile phone, trash service, web services, cybersecurity, car payments, car insurance, medical and dental plans, Amazon Prime, LifeLock, LifeLight, Medicare, among others. This was in addition to banking changes mentioned the night before. Another page estimated his future living costs and a budget that showcased the child support needed for maintaining her and the daughter's lifestyle, highlighting a monthly deficit. It suggested cuts to expenses, noting Jeff's sacrifices such as his Waffle House and Starbucks visits, which she found amusing. Her gym membership, women's group involvement, and frequent dining out were also budgeted. Expenditures on the children like activities, uniforms, and other necessities were listed, not taking into account the emotional toll of her divorce intentions. Additional tasks for Darlene included filling up the car maintenance, hiring professionals, lawn maintenance, washing the cars, and shopping for groceries. She had to pause reading. Why can't Jeff just act as I wish and give me what I want? She pondered, deciding to call Miranda before Jeff woke up. Hi, Miranda, it's Darlene. We have to keep our voices down because Jeff is sleeping right here. How did last night go? Asked Miranda, eagerly anticipating Darlene's update. Rather than asking how he could make things better to avoid divorce, he agreed to it and started listing all the responsibilities he currently manages that I would have to assume if we went through with the divorce. Jeff is considering renting a flat and only taking the girls on weekends. He thinks we should truly separate and live as if we were already divorced to better decide about divorcing after 90 days. He doesn't seem deterred by the prospect of divorce. What do I do? Oh dear, he's just trying to deceive you. He's acting he won't sign any real papers. It's unfortunate he feels he has to list every little task he does to prove you rely on him more than he on you. Ultimately, you wield control over the children and yourself. These are the only things that will keep him in line. This is just him speaking. Don't worry. Before long, you and Robert will be spending intimate moments together, yet you'll still retain your marriage and household. I'm hoping you're correct, and that Robert proves to be deserving. Jeff, on his part, hasn't made any moves just yet. I'll keep holding on, at least until his real motives become clear. I appreciate it, Miranda. He rises to his feet. I must go now. Hey, Jeff, would you care for some coffee? Darlene asked with a hint of concern. Her spouse strolled over to the coffee machine, noting drinking coffee so late yesterday was a bad idea. I hardly got any sleep. Why didn't you join me in bed? I thought about it, but I didn't feel confident about it. What's on your mind? Honey, seeing you sleep unclothed made me extremely excited. You're still the most beautiful woman to me. I was afraid that if you let me be intimate, it would only be out of pity to comfort me because of the divorce talk. I doubted my ability to hold back, honey. We're still officially married. I'm yours and only yours until our separation becomes formal. Can't we keep living as a couple until then? Regrettably, no. My conviction that we should begin to live apart as soon as possible has only grown stronger, despite the formal separation not starting until next month. In essence, it began the moment you voiced your discontent. It's going to be hard for me, but my deepest desire is to see you happy, even if I cease to be a part of your life. Jeff, you tend to forget that this separation is just temporary and a divorce isn't inevitable. Just relax. Give me some time to find myself, and I believe we'll stay together, with things being better than ever. I hope that were true. I've decided to take the day off. Billy will handle the maintenance teams today, so I can sort out some things regarding our separation. This arrangement won't start until next month, giving us 90 days to explore what a divorce could look like. Also, I'm going to take out a bit more money for both of us. We'll need to rely on cash until we receive our individual credit and debit cards. Luckily, we both have our separate bank accounts in addition to the joint one. I plan to split the money from the joint account evenly into our individual accounts. It's important we do this now so we can get our new cards and checks by next month. Tonight, I'll go over what I've arranged and what you'll need to do to manage your portion of the finances. Oh, you better hurry or you'll be late for work. I'll prepare breakfast for the kids and take them to school. Darlene struggled in her role as an office manager at a local insurance firm. Robert, ever the charmer, walked in tall, dark-haired with waves, and a smile that made women wish he'd stop for a chat as they adjusted their tops. After praising Darlene's looks and acknowledging her feeling of neglect, he asked when they might next enjoy some beautiful music together. Darlene, feeling tense, told Robert they would soon be in a more peaceful setting, but for today, she would reach out to him later by the elevator. As he left, her worries about drifting from Jeff were eclipsed by memories of their kisses and embraces during the brief elevator rides since his arrival at the firm. Coming home from work, Darlene noticed signs Jeff had been there during the day, which bolstered her resolve to deal with the ridiculous financial talks he initiated. It was simple. I've got 90 days to explore. We're still married, And after that, I'll figure out how to be with Robert without getting caught. She sat at the kitchen counter, reviewing her notebook. Jeff had listed more points. Then she saw a new list titled Potential Women for Today, divided into those who had shown interest and those he wondered about. The lists were short, but the names under the interested section shocked her. One was her sister, Erica. Disturbed, Darlene immediately called her. "Hey, Erica answered. "How are you? Why would you try to take my husband?" "Calm down. What are you talking about?" Jeff had made a list of women who seemed interested in dating him, and Erica's name was on it. I was oblivious to the roster, but once blurted out to him in a tipsy confession that if he ever wised up and left your ungrateful behind, I'd gladly step into your shoes. Hold on, he's showing you a list of women showing interest in him. Does this signal trouble in the household? Have you caught him in an affair, or was it him catching you? That's beside the point. I just brought up the need for some personal space-time alone to explore new connections. At this juncture, Erica interrupted her. "Oh, I see you're on the hunt for an affair. Who is it? Or are there several?" "No, there's nobody else I'm involved with presently. Jeff and I are merely undergoing a 90-day separation, post which will determine the future of our marriage. All right, it's clear you have someone in mind, but it's none of my concern." "So, you're implying an imminent official separation, and should anyone want Jeff, you're helpless, correct?" "Let me know when, and I promise you, 1 minute after it's official, I'll be there begging for a date, openly throwing myself at him, vowing fidelity. Unlike you, for eternity you'd do well to stay away from him, or else what? You're powerless if you're legally separated. Plus, it appears you're the initiator here. You've constantly bragged about his provision, his qualities as a spouse and father, and particularly his prowess as a lover, and now you're ready to let go of that. Are you out of your mind? Inform me the instant he's free. This is one occasion I'd actually seek help from my older sister." Farewell. After the call, Darlene attempted to calm down, yet revisiting the list of women only aggravated her. She spotted Jenny, his secretary, a youthful single mother, captivating yet almost 2 decades younger than Jeff. However, she was prominently positioned on the list, clearly interested in dating her husband, probably in search of a supporter for her child. The list included 2 women, with one being married, presumably indicated by the M next to her name. The remaining names were those of Jeff's co-workers. She also noted several more names of neighborhood women. Jeff was known to lend a hand to neighbors free of charge. Despite holding a psychology degree, he opted for manual labor during his college years, finding satisfaction in such work. He grew his business substantially, now managing 3 teams. It seems he was drawn not only to the women's looks but also to the plumbing needs in their homes. The 3 women listed were described by their employment: a waitress at Waffle House, a barista at Starbucks, and a clerk at Walmart. It makes me wonder how many others see him in the same light as Erica does. I hadn't anticipated he would begin dating during our hiatus. It's possible he's already found someone new. Jeff walked in and saw his wife poring over a notebook. He had a strong inkling about the upcoming conversation. "Jeff, it appears you've been quick to seek a replacement for me," she remarked. "My dear sister, why would you assume that?" he retorted. "I was just attempting to keep pace with you in the search for a companion." "What do you mean?" "I don't have a boyfriend. I'm merely open to socializing. And what about Robert Turner? How are you aware of Robert Turner, and what do you intend to do about it?" "Today, while at Walmart, I ran into Sylvia, your manager's secretary, on my lunch break. She's notorious for her gossip, so her words should be taken with caution." After a moment of silence, Darlene felt compelled to press further. "Sylvia had stated, to my knowledge, you're good friends with one of our new associates, Robert Turner." But my perplexed look must have prompted her to add that he frequents your wife's office several times daily, and they often share lunches together. This led me to confront Darlene about it, pointing out our firm's strict no-fraternization policy among employees. However, Darlene explained that Robert was an old college friend and that they regularly spent time together. Hence, it occurred to me that Robert could be a potential match for you to consider during our time apart. Have you had any notable experiences with him in your quest for companionship? Robert and I maintain a platonic relationship. Beyond conversation, there hasn't been much activity, yet I find myself drawn to the idea of dating him. His consistent kindness and flattering remarks stand out, especially on days when I'm not at my best. Have you engaged in anything that would cause me concern? As Darlene mentally sifted through their shared moments, her expression betrayed her thoughts. Importantly, have you engaged in any behavior that would upset his spouse, he's not wed, who misled you into believing he was? How do you perceive me? Presently, your judgment in selecting male acquaintances appears lacking. We should examine his Facebook page. That's where I discovered the news after a brief search on the laptop. Jeff inquired, "Is this the Robert Turner you're referring to?" Indeed. What's listed regarding his marital status? According to this, he's married to Cynthia and father to 2 boys. Darlene hastened to suggest that the information could be dated. Actually, he's divorced now. Verify once more. The site received an update 3 days ago. Isn't it vital for him to share such significant personal information? And look at a recent post by his wife. "The boys and myself look forward to being with Robert post the academic year. Johnny and Robert Jr. play pivotal roles in their school's baseball team, eyeing the state championship. Their plan is to rejoin him after the academic period or following their tournament success if they advance." I assure you he never disclosed being married. The last thing I'd want is to disrupt a marriage, yet it appears compromising your own marriage doesn't concern you as much. Silence enveloped the room. Darlene recognized her predicament. She required time to reflect. Robert was a significant factor in her desire for a separation, a detail she couldn't let Jeff uncover. He's merely one among several potential dates. I can assemble a list akin to yours. Oh, something crucial just dawned on me. Should we opt to continue our marriage post-separation, it's essential we share medical reports to confirm we're both STD-free. At this juncture, your actions are not commendable. Just to clarify, I hadn't seriously contemplated dating, considering our separation might only last 90 days. However, should I seek companionship, finding a partner wouldn't be challenging. I believe you'd value the assurance as much as I do. Remember, it's not just about you, it concerns whom you're intimate with, their prior partners, and so on. Jeff managed to mask his pleasure in tightening the proverbial screws while Darlene looked clearly distressed. Jeff changed the subject. "All right, Dar, I meant to update you on today's efforts towards facilitating our separation. There's a plethora to manage, starting with the basics. Addressing banking and credit matters is imperative right now. Ensuring your financial independence, addressing the mortgage, utilities, and the like should follow in the week ahead. Also, I've some positive financial news. Did I mention my assistant Jenny's role as a night manager at the Royal Arms? Its proximity to our work led me to inquire about vacancies. A 2-bedroom is available, but swift action is necessary. Typically, it's beyond our budget, but she offered a 50% rent reduction if I undertake the apartment maintenance role, offering us more financial leeway. You haven't signed the lease yet, correct? Remember, we have 90 days, and there's still a possibility of you returning here if things are managed correctly. She considered calling out his assistant's calculated move, but decided against it, wary of worsening their dialogue. I've yet to sign the lease, although I wanted to explain my search for an apartment. She mentioned the rarity of short-term leases, yet believed a 90-day agreement could be approved. Upon learning about our divorce, Jenny suggested going out together. The age difference and more were unexpected. I had no idea she was interested. I expressed my flattery but mentioned our company's policy against personal relationships between staff and supervisors. Jenny offered to look for a secretarial job elsewhere if that would resolve the issue. Hence it was included in my considerations. Darlene kept her anger in check, knowing expressing her thoughts would only escalate the situation. Ignoring Darlene's reaction, Jeff proceeded, "There's additional news you might like. I've secured 2 tickets for a 10-day trip to Hawaii, delaying the announcement as it was intended as our 20th anniversary surprise." Darlene's disposition transformed entirely. "Hawaii, oh Jeff, you know how deeply I've dreamed of going there. This is absolutely wonderful. I'm looking forward to unwinding on the beach and diving into the ocean. My thanks are boundless." Yet Jeff's face didn't reflect the same excitement as his spouse's. "We're not heading to Hawaii. After you brought up the divorce, I assumed our 20th anniversary wouldn't be celebrated together. Trying to get the booking cancelled and a refund, they told me I could only get back 20% of the cost at this juncture. But then it struck me that a Hawaiian vacation would still be a dream come true. Thinking it over, I decided you should still go, so I transferred the tickets to your name and someone else of your choosing later on. It might mark a splendid start to a new life phase, offering a fully paid Hawaiian getaway, to whoever accompanies you next. Jeff, I envisioned our Hawaii trip together. We could put off breaking up. Actually, I've been reconsidering the whole divorce after some soul searching. I'm not as unhappy as I thought. I'm sorry, Dar. I've really thought it through. The possibility of going back to discussing a potential divorce in the future, even if we stop the divorce proceedings now, wouldn't make me happy. What you wanted and my thoughts about your time with Robert, which was supposed to be insignificant, cannot be taken back. I'm inclined to go through with the divorce regardless of what you decide. Despite his inability to imagine a life without her and being only a part-time father to his daughters, Jeff then made his way to the guest room upstairs. Darlene was devastated. She realized she had only one person to turn to: Miranda. She made the call. "Hi, Darlene. How are things?" asked Miranda. "Everything's in shambles. Jeff has found an apartment, and his skinny assistant is already making moves on him. My sister is even trying to get with him. The worst part is, he booked a trip to Hawaii for our anniversary, and now he's giving me the tickets. I can go, but he won't join me. He said I could use them to go with my new boyfriend. What should I do now? Hey, what's the problem? You and Robert will have a great time soaking up the sun, enjoying yourselves, and having an amazing romantic getaway. Actually, I found out Robert is married, and his wife and kids are moving here soon. I don't want to go to Hawaii with him. I want to go with Jeff." "Just a second, I've figured out what's going on," Miranda cut in. "Wow, Jeff's more clever than we gave him credit for. He made up the whole trip booking in advance just to make you feel guilty and stop the divorce. Don't worry, with your stunning looks, you'll find plenty of guys just as good as or better than Robert, and you'll keep your husband and family." Wow, I had no idea he could be so spiteful. I'll make sure he regrets this. Thanks, Miranda. I was about to lose hope. He'll truly regret this. We'll talk more later. When Jeff returned downstairs, he had a small suitcase with him. "So, you're trying to show you're moving out already? Don't worry, it's for the best. Actually, I'm just moving some items to the apartment in advance so as not to take everything at once and upset the girls. Jenny said I could move some things over since the apartment's free at the moment. Your attitude seems to have changed since we last spoke. Let me guess, you've been talking to your advisor, Miranda. If you plan to stay married, you really should see a marriage counselor. Miranda's great at divorces, that's her specialty. Don't start by insulting Miranda. She's been supportive and pointed out your scheme with the Hawaii tickets. You created that story just to make me give up everything. This plan won't work. I'm still set on the divorce and ready to start the process. Plenty of men are interested in me and willing to meet my needs. Indeed, you're correct about men wanting you. I'm sure you'll be flooded with offers as soon as they find out you're single. I've always felt incredibly lucky to have you as breathtaking as you are, a wonderful mother to our daughters, and until recently, a faithful wife and partner. You're wrong about the Hawaii trip, and I can prove it. All it takes is a call to Lois Simpson at Flightright Travel Agency. She was the one who organized everything. Let me get you on the line with Lois. This is Jeff Sinclair again. My wife is listening on speakerphone. Could you go over the trip details with her? She has some questions. Absolutely, Jeff. It's a pity you won't be able to make it. You seem genuinely eager to give your wife a pleasant surprise with this holiday. What can I assist you with today, Mrs. Sinclair? Explain in detail what exactly this trip you mention involves, Darlene pressed. This vacation package, spanning 10 days on 2 islands, includes stays at our most sought-after resort, all meals, transport services, lessons in hula dancing, beach luau's, performances by tiki dancers, opportunities for surfing, swimming and dancing, all wrapped in a romantic setting. My husband and I have experienced it ourselves a few times, and it truly breathed new life into our relationship. When was the booking for this trip first made by my husband? Darlene asked, sure it would reveal the falsehood. Checking my records, he initially made an inquiry about 3 months ago, opted for this exact package 2 months ago, and finalized the payment after another 2 weeks. He called just yesterday to cancel and ask for a refund. Unfortunately, I could only offer a 20% return. Surprisingly, he decided to continue, sure he could invite another person along. It shows the kind of partner he is, underscoring how lucky you are. Do you have any more questions? You'll need to quickly tell me who the other person is. Indeed, I can't secure flight bookings without that detail. No. More questions? I'll be in touch soon to get the name. Darlene tried to figure out what Miranda would say with this information. Soon she thought, "You think you fooled me again, don't you? You and Lewis plotted to pretend there was a Hawaii trip before I could bring up divorce. But I've seen through you." She felt a sense of achievement in her detective work, not needing Miranda's confirmation. Jeff let out a deep sigh, suggesting, "Talk it over with your parents. Why would my parents matter in this? Who else will look after the kids while we're gone? I'll call them now." Darlene was surprised. "No, there's no need. I just need a bit of time to think." "Sorry, Dar, I'm already making the call." However, Jeff's call was answered by her mother, who saw the caller ID. "Darlene, how are the kids?" "Nice to hear from you." "Hi, Mum," Darlene said, her voice uneasy. "Hi, Mum, Jeff here." "We're on speaker." "Just a sec, getting your dad," they heard. "Harold, it's Jeff and Darlene on the call." "Hello, what's going on?" Harold came on after Darlene hesitated. Jeff shared, "Darlene knows now, so no hiding anything, son. It's really unfortunate you can't join. You hadn't mentioned why before. We hope it's nothing serious. Finding out we won't have the kids over because you're not going to Hawaii was disappointing. We looked forward to their visit for 10 days. It's a shame for Darlene. She'd obviously prefer this trip with you than anyone else. Did you find someone else to go with?" "Not yet, Mum." "When did Jeff bring up Hawaii?" "Not sure, Harold. Remember around New Year's, I think, about 2 or 3 months ago. He wanted to prepare us ahead of time so we could stock up on treats. Those kids can eat so much yet stay so slim." Jeff, Darlene's mother interjected. "Is everything okay with Darlene?" "Why the question? Is there trouble between you two?" "Oh no. Have you guys split up?" Darlene answered. "No, Mum, not really. We just thought we needed a little space, a chance to refresh our relationship, and then maybe get back together." "Dar, I can't lie to your folks. They've always been honest with me, Mum." "Harold, last Sunday Darlene mentioned wanting a divorce." There was silence. Darlene quickly added, "That's not exactly what I want. The first step in a divorce is a 90-day separation. I wanted this time to find myself, explore new opportunities, and grow to be a better wife and mother." "That's my girl talking. I know when I'm being lied to." "Darlene, is there someone else?" "Absolutely not, Dad." Jeff tried to intervene but paused. Harold continued, while his wife could be heard sobbing in the background. "I'm deeply disappointed in how this has turned out. We raised you to know better. It's heartbreaking. Don't expect us to warmly welcome your new partner, Darlene. I truly feel for you, Jeff. Could you at least promise that we'll still see our grandchildren after all this?" Before Jeff could respond, Darlene, also in tears, interjected. "Jeff is overstating the circumstances. I withdraw my earlier words. No talk of divorce or separation. We can discuss this later once everything calms down." Jeff looked towards Darlene, noticing her agitated state. "You need to calm down. The children will be home any moment." Moving towards the door, he began pulling along a suitcase. "Where are you going? Didn't you hear me? I've reconsidered the divorce. There's no reason for you to go. Darlene, you opted for divorce without involving me initially. Now, you choose to retract it just because things didn't pan out as you hoped. You overlook that my input matters. Given what I've learned about your behavior last week, stopping the divorce might not be prudent. I'll take a sleeping bag from the garage and spend tonight in the apartment." "Jeff, don't go. I regret it. You were on board before the divorce was mentioned. Can't we ignore that and go back to how things used to be? You said you were happy. I was genuinely happy too, but I can't ignore your dissatisfaction and your plans to meet with Robert. You've essentially committed infidelity already." Sally said the divorce documents are standard and could be prepared quickly. "Possibly by tomorrow." "I refuse to sign them," Darlene declared with conviction. "It's irrelevant. The only necessity is your formal notification. She's likely to serve you at your office, in front of numerous witnesses, including perhaps Robert. It could serve as grounds for a lawsuit for alienation of affection. Indeed, I could also hold your boss accountable for violating corporate policies, which would jeopardize both of your careers. But that's excessive. I prefer you remain financially secure for our children after the divorce." It seems confronting Robert's partner should suffice for revenge. "Why do you have to be so unforgiving? I love you, and you have feelings for me. Can't we find a solution? You mentioned how divorce would be hard on both of us. Aren't you keen on avoiding that pain? I swear to never bring up divorce again. Let's stay together and solve our issues." Tears streamed down Darlene's face. Jeff stayed quiet and unmoving, leading Darlene to think she might have influenced him. I vow to be the perfect wife. I'll never look at another man again. I've given you nearly 20 years of a strong marriage, 2 wonderful children, and have supported your business, even when it meant you came home late and disorganized. I'm incredibly proud of what you've achieved. Everyone makes mistakes. Please give me another chance after a pause, Jeff said. Here's my plan. I'll take my bag and sleeping bag to the apartment. I need you to write down several things. Your actions and words have hurt me deeply. If your written responses meet my expectations, I'll consider either calling off or postponing the divorce. I'll be back by 7 p.m. Perhaps have the kids stay over at their grandparents' or a friend's so we can talk freely. Yes, absolutely, thank you. What should I write? Firstly, an apology for causing this mess, and a genuine plea for my forgiveness. Secondly, tell Robert to stop all communication with you. Thirdly, what message will you give to your husband if he persists? Let him know he faces legal action against him and your company if he continues. Moreover, list all the reasons you believe I should stay married to you. Lastly, reach out to Miranda, telling her you wish to end all interaction with her. This discussion is non-negotiable. Should I find out Miranda's influence persists, I will leave immediately. Do you understand my conditions? If you want us to possibly continue our marriage, then yes, love, I get it. I'll adhere to everything and be ready by 7. All right, see you then. Jeff collected his belongings and left. Darlene started with the final task on her list, rehearsing her message to Miranda. Your influence was the biggest mistake. You almost cost me everything dear to me. Do not contact me in any way, or even think about me. If we meet in public, avoid me, or I may act unpredictably. Darlene felt a surprising sense of relief after addressing Miranda. Subsequently, she contacted Robert to convey Jeff's communication. She detested Robert's urgent request for another meeting at a motel, his derogatory comments, and implications concerning her role as a partner. She quieted him with a caution that her spouse could notify his wife if he continued to bother her. The task she anticipated to be the most challenging, formulating arguments for why Jeff should desire to remain married, unexpectedly turned out to be the simplest. Freed from wanting anything beyond her existence with Jeff, Darlene began to ponder the joy they had experienced together. Believing this compilation would make an impression on Jeff, she did not hesitate to seek his forgiveness for the facade of divorce. Acknowledging her previous errors, she pledged to avoid making them again. By 7, Darlene was prepared and brimming with assurance, though she felt a touch of nervousness when Jeff had not shown up at the agreed-upon time. He appeared 5 minutes afterward, without his bags, showing no evident alteration in his attitude. Since he had left, Darlene tried to stay kind and modest as she introduced her explanations, aspiring for his empathy. Jeff examined the list with keen interest, his response causing tears, leading Darlene to weep too, interpreting his emotional reaction as promising. However, as she went to hug him, he signaled for her to take a seat again, voicing doubts about her grasp of the damage she inflicted. He expressed concern over the potential need to go through with the divorce, rendering Darlene completely devastated. Swamped by grief, she blamed herself as the cause of the family's downfall and doubted her eligibility for life. As Jeff offered consolation, suggesting he grasped her anguish, he proposed the idea of dating while they were separated, unexpectedly asking her out for dinner and a movie as a new beginning. Overjoyed, Darlene agreed, optimistic about rekindling their bond. Finally, a prompt to subscribe to the channel is issued, teasing further captivating narratives to come, with a warning about the mature content of the next story for younger viewers.